Back again.
Back
See?
again.
Ready to lose.
All right. Ready?
No. Oh, I won!
Okay. All right. I'll be honest.
All right.
Wedding Facebook groups are absolutely unhinged.
Beyond.
Beyond. We're going to talk about it. Okay.
Well, we got started on this conversation because I'm an admin in one.
Yeah, and you get to see it all.
And I see the front end, the back end, the text between admins.
Mm-hmm.
I see it all. But then you had came up with, of course, we're gonna do a thread lightly.
Yep.
So pop that off. Do you have?
I got it. I'm ready.
I feel like that's what was like. Yeah, we have to do an episode on this because there's too much tea.
There's too much tea. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Thread lightly. I've been a wedding vendor for many years now, but I just joined a few Facebook groups, wedding Facebook groups as a 2025 bride. And oh my God, the drama. These groups pop off. Word felt.
They
felt.
They are their own. Okay.
Feral.
They're their own. You've got.
And we're specifically talking about wedding Facebook groups.
Yes.
Not like a random Facebook group for restaurants in your area. A wedding Facebook group where vendors are posting, brides are posting. It is a conglomerate.
And there's a bunch of different ones. Like you've got some that are very like this half of the state. You've got some that are very specific to city.
Yep.
You've got, for us in the Smokies, you have Smoky Mountain Brides.
Yep.
And they all have different rules. They all have different vibes.
Yep.
They
also
all
have some like buy, sell, trade, like separate than
Correct.
planning. Just like you go there to buy wedding,
Correct.
secondhand wedding things.
But then there's ones that there's absolutely no selling whatsoever, and you'll get banned if you even mention that you have leftover.
Yep.
Like decor of any kind.
It's just for planning or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or finding vendors.
And I find they're very useful.
Very.
There is definitely a specific type of people, things that people are looking for in those groups. It's very specific. And so like what I say is, I say specific and then there's panic brides in there.
Yeah.
So the gamut is, I'm literally just talked to my boyfriend. We're not even engaged yet. And I definitely want to get married in the mountains. And I'm here to learn all the things. I know nothing.
Correct.
And it's just a post. The most random.
Vague.
Are you looking for people? Are you not? Do you want to vent? Are you just so excited you're here? 2, I've been contacting catering company after catering company after catering company. Here's my budget. I need this date. I need this thing. Very specific. God, someone help me.
Please.
And then everything in between.
Yeah.
And so
it can be a little chaotic. It can be a little confusing when you're like going into it and you're like, oh my gosh. Or if you post in it and you get 300 replies from vendors and you're like, this was more than I asked for.
Well,
it can be overwhelming.
I find it odd. Even as someone who has, even as someone who is an admin on one that created one to help, I still find it a little odd to be searching for vendors in that group. I don't know why. I think if you've come there with a very specific problem that you need solved, so it really is sort of a catch-all.
Yeah.
I'm in there because I have no idea what I'm doing and I need to catch all of it.
Yeah.
Or I have a very, again, specific problem and I need to catch as many people as possible in order to help me solve this problem.
Okay.
And so let me ask you this. Are you in any Facebook groups as a bride?
Too many, so many.
Did you ever post in groups? Well, okay. So what were you looking for or needing advice on?
So ironically, it was about catering. I was looking for catering and what was helpful was I was able to find a wedding group that was specific to the area that we're getting married in. Okay. So that was helpful.
You are a bride who you're not destination, but you're not local. You're not local to that. Yeah. Where you're getting married at. Yeah. You're not local there. Okay. So that's where you went to.
Yeah. Because it was, for me specifically, it was like Google search was too broad and I needed it to hone down a little bit because it was our wedding is in such a small area in the mountains that there's like tri-cities are all there. So this specific group was like tri-city vendors.
Okay.
So I wanted that because when I was Google searching it, it was like pulling from Knoxville or pulling from super far because the vendors were like tagging, I think, like their SEO was like Knoxville and beyond.
Because us vendors, we do have a broad reach.
Yep.
You know, like.
But I wanted someone local
there.
And so that was a little difficult, was like, so finding that group was really helpful because I wanted to see, one, who are the vendors that people are using most often?
Okay.
What are the patterns of like who's getting recommended the most or most often?
Oh, interesting.
So that's what I was looking for.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. I was looking
like
for
you were scrolling through and seeing what other maybe professionals were saying or what other brides.
What other brides? Okay, so when I first got onto the group, I went in the little search within the group and I searched catering. To see what posts were even about catering. And
I feel like now I need to completely retract what I just said. I'm so sorry, everybody. I'm, you know, when I say we've talked about this, I've learned so much just doing this podcast.
Truly.
But
it's a different perspective.
But now seeing it on the other side, because I've only been vendor admin side. So, okay, so you went in and you were searching very specifically for catering.
Yep.
Okay.
Because I was at a roadblock with Google search. I couldn't find one, and we've talked about this in previous episodes. One, no one was either getting back to me. Two, they didn't have a website. So it was like hard to find certain people. And we're getting married in a really small area. And so there's a lot of vendors that I think like don't have websites and only have Facebook pages or whatever.
Okay.
And so it was just an alternative way for me to find vendors than just Google searching.
Okay. So once did that lead you then to your catering vendor?
No. No.
Okay.
I think I did end up making a post looking for looking for caterers. And
all right, as an admin. What did your post look like?
It was like, hi, I'm getting married at this venue on this date.
Okay.
This many people are in attendance. I'm looking for food truck up to, I think I said 125 guests. This is our budget. I put everything in there.
I know.
Put everything in there because otherwise it's like where, what, when, who, why.
I won't approve it as an admin. Okay. No, I won't. I won't.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I'm looking for catering for this city.
Yeah.
When?
Why?
How many? Where? Like,
what do you want to eat?
What do you want to eat? Like, what are we doing? It's like walking into a car lot and you're like, I need a car.
Cool.
No shit.
Sounds great. And
how can we help you?
So as much detail I really wanted to, because it was like, I just needed to niche down. And so I did find some options, but I don't think that's how I found the person. I think my planner actually found the guy that we're using.
Okay.
But anyway.
Did you find it helpful?
I thought it was really helpful. I thought it was helpful at least to like, there were a lot of people that were recommended that I didn't see when I Googled.
Oh,
so I think that was the helpful part, was like, really I kept seeing the same like 6 companies or 5 companies, and I had already reached out to them and I was like, I need something else. And so it was a way for me to find people that may not have a website at all, or a very good website, or a searchable website. Okay. So like if their SEO is not really that great, tagging toward the area. You know what I mean?
Started looking for websites.
Yeah.
Your first thing was the Google.
Yes. Irwin, Tennessee, wedding catering.
Okay.
Or like da-da-da-da. And what I noticed was that it was not pulling, I'm going to location drop because it's relevant. It wasn't pulling Irwin, Tennessee. It was pulling like Johnson City and Knoxville. And because Knoxville vendors do travel to Irwin, but I wanted people that were close by, because normally food trucks aren't going to drive 2 hours from Knoxville to Irwin. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it was like, that was my first Google search. I keep getting these Knoxville vendors, or like an hour and a half away. I really know that there's more there.
There's more there.
And so the Facebook
did you not want people driving that far? You didn't think they would drive that far? You wanted just something closer?
I think closer, and I think a lot of the people were not willing to drive, or it was going to be an insane fee.
That's that is a long time.
It's a long time. And for us, our big ethos around this wedding is like supporting the local community because they were so devastated by Helene.
That's right.
So we really want, as much as we love our like Knoxville vendors, as much as we're able to support the local community and help those people, that's what we want to do.
That was great. Okay, so you were on the Google.
Yeah.
People weren't getting back to you. Catering wasn't. You went to a bride group.
Yep.
Did see the same ones.
Yep.
Can you think? And then planner was really then what connected. So then you
think
relied
so.
back on your additional support.
Yeah.
Like,
And I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that that's how it went. I'm pretty sure she found them because we were specifically looking for hot dog trucks. So it was like, I wanted a hot dog truck. So it was like, Google was not getting me anywhere. It was only getting me one, and they were not even a working company anymore. They had closed. So the guy that we found wasn't even in my Google searches.
Okay.
I think that he really may have been recommended in the Facebook group. I really can't remember. But regardless, if he was, that would have been a brand new vendor resource than what I would have found Googling it.
Yeah.
So I think you need both. I think there's a place for both. It's just educating on what they are and how to maneuver them and what the weak points are. Because it can be overwhelming. And you don't want to just go in there blindly.
No, it is overwhelming. Well, and I think the thing is also what I see, the thing that caught me immediately is you were saying, I went in the search bar and searched catering.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of posts that I see that are duplicate, like, tell me about this venue. Tell me about this venue.
Yeah.
Honey, there's been posts.
So many
There's
posts.
so much information at that point that, you know, and it's usually for like the national park, right? Because we're right on the edge of the national park and people are very specific. And sometimes you feel like, have you opened a computer at all and searched? Like, you know, I need to see the layout of this venue. Yeah. Honey, they have a whole video of a walkthrough on there. So, you know, part of that's a little frustrating. And vendor and Facebook groups, I will say, you know, when you're going in, and maybe this is like a general inquiry thing at all, you know, us as vendors are looking for very specific things. Number one, our date, right? Yeah. Like that is our main thing. Like, are we available or not available on that date, period? Yeah. And then when you start looking, I would say maybe at location.
Yeah, location, because again, like we have travel, are you even able to have food trucks at your venue?
Can you even
get up the mountain to your venue? Like there's so many, there are a lot of places
space for that sort of thing too. Yeah. Like, does that feasibly work at your venue? Yeah. Because some of those places in the mountains are up there and there's not, like, you can get some cars, but like, can you then serve guests out of that like food truck respectively?
Right.
Or are they just like, have the emergency brake on and they're just like with a hope and prayer, right?
Think about.
But your place does have that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And on the flip side, our place normally does food trucks because there's not a catering kitchen. So on the flip side, it's like we knew that our catering options were limited anyway, just the logistics of it, because we're in a middle of nowhere in a field with a bunch of glamp camps. And like some of the units have kitchens, but very small kitchens, and like maybe 5.
So you need somebody to bring.
I needed someone
everything,
to bring it,
like an in-house, full house. Catering company.
And I needed someone who was able to accommodate a bigger guest count than like 50 people.
Right.
So Facebook groups can be helpful. You just have to know how to use them. So if you're engaged, your first instinct is probably to either Google or you're going to search somewhere initially to find your
like
vendors.
we talked about Pinterest. Like we're looking Pinterest, and I feel like that's more like aesthetic.
Yes.
Now we're talking. I mean,
logistics.
I don't know people who necessarily go on Pinterest fully to look for vendors.
Yeah.
But I feel like Google and Facebook group, we are looking for vendors, and specifically, I see usually hair and makeup and officiants. I mean, those are probably top 2. I mean, just to get married. All you need is an officiant. Yeah. Okay? Yeah. So those are big ones. And then usually, I want to look pretty. Yeah. Very rarely dresses or anything.
Sometimes I see venues, like I feel like I'll see like we're looking for this kind of venue that accommodates this many people.
That's
and we
true.
want a mountain
Here's
view.
my vibe, and they throw some photos out there, and lots of people will recommend the venue. Yeah. That's true. Like and then they're like within this radius.
Right.
Or within this half of the state. That's also very helpful. Yeah. I want to find this venue.
Yep.
Where, honey?
Yeah. Where?
Where?
Our stay is 8 hours long.
it is.
So really we can go anywhere.
And there's one that's an East Tennessee group I'm in. I'm in the groups. I'm searching around. I'm in there. I'm looking. All right, I'm the creeper that's checking everybody's stuff out. But yeah, it's nice when they say, because I also want to be helpful.
Yeah.
Too. Like sincerely, I want to be helpful.
For sure.
And there's some that come up but they're like, I will only want it from this city to this city. I'm like, oh, well then this one actually would be perfect for you, but it is 2 hours away.
Yeah. Yeah.
So not a vibe at all. So I would say, like, if you're in there using it for the purpose of it, be very specific for what you're looking for. And I never want to hear the words, I'm looking for budget friendly. I'm looking for cheap.
Something that doesn't cost an arm and a leg.
Something that doesn't cost an arm and a leg. What does that mean?
That is not definable. That is not a definable standard. Arm and a leg.
You want like
mean
your eye was
anything.
switching. It was like, what? Like, when we were talking about like hair and makeup costs, right?
Yeah.
Hair and makeup costs. When we were talking with Sam right here on this couch, you can do hair and makeup for $50, or you can do hair and makeup and all the things for $500, right? What does budget friendly mean? Budget friendly for me may mean $100. Budget friendly for somebody maybe $500. It's whatever that range is. Nobody knows your situation. So giving like an actual cost or a cost range, or even just saying,
a range.
I don't know what this costs, but I really don't want to go over this amount of money. Is that a reasonable thing?
Yeah.
Because I will tell you.
This is my max budget.
Yes, this is it. Like per person or whatever, like catering, I got this, just like you did. But then, the thing that drives me crazy, like, okay, like the budget friendly or something that doesn't cost an arm and a leg, whatever. Cheap.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
If there's ever, I don't know why do we do this? I don't know. Okay, there's nobody in the world that wants to be considered cheap.
No.
Like,
no.
As a bride, like,
if
look
you
at all
grab
these cheap vendors
if you
I
grab
just hired.
something off the shelf and goes, this looks cheap, is that a good, do you want that?
Right.
No, that's not a word that we associate with like.
But would you, as a bride getting married, and then you're like, all your family's there, look at all the cheap vendors I have at my wedding.
I got the cheapest of the cheap.
I got the cheapest of the cheap. There's no way you're going to want that. So I will tell you, if there's ever somebody's like looking for a cheap whatever, you will not find my name under there. I will not respond to that because I don't consider anybody cheap. Okay.
This is an investment.
This is investment, whether it's the $50 investment or a $500 investment.
Yep.
You're within your budget constraints, but that doesn't mean cheap. I think cheap has a very negative connotation, and I don't know anybody out there who would ever say, I want my wedding to be or look cheap.
But also these words do not have definitions. That's the biggest important thing. Cheap does not have a definition. Arm and a leg does not have a definition.
No.
Like reasonable price does not have a definition. That means something to you individually. That does not mean something to the rest of the internet.
We have no idea.
Cheap to me for maybe a bike versus a car are also very different things.
Right.
Like both are transportation, but they're very, very different.
Right.
And so like I don't want a cheap car that costs $100, but a bike that's cheap, maybe $100. Like, I don't know. There's different definitions. So when you are posting in these groups, as specific that you can be, as defined as you can be, and set a budget. What in your brain, I don't want to go any more past this.
Yes.
This is my max.
You know it. You really do. Because if somebody comes back and they say, I'm looking for a photographer and it's $5,000, you know immediately that's too much for you. Babe, you got a budget.
Yeah.
You have a budget. Okay, you know
in your brain.
Yes.
So don't be ashamed of it. No. I mean, we see all kinds of different like ranges. So like just own it. Own whatever your budget is. And then if you have wiggle room later, like great, that's great. Well, but don't say arm and leg.
No. Okay, but so let's do the arm and the leg, or I'm looking for a photographer. Like we see it. Like I'm looking for a photographer in May of 2026. Lots of questions. First, that date. First, a lot of them have weekday versus weekend pricing. Some, and then where is your? There's so many questions.
Travel maybe involved.
Like and then what's going to happen? Comment. You are going
Hundreds.
to be
within seconds, guys.
Okay.
It's crazy.
Photographers are the worst.
They are.
We are the worst. Like, there's so many memes out there where it's just like we are like,
it is. wild. Like be
And-
prepared for like hundreds of comments, and that's not a joke.
Yeah.
Like that's
And
truly
here's
insane.
the thing. They may be in that specific group for that region but they aren't from that region. If those group rules really kind of allow
Such a good
anybody,
point.
and you think you're posting in let's just like, if you think you're posting in Santa Clara, California, I don't know, is that even a city? And you are in that, don't assume based on the rules that the people that are responding to you are in that city
100%
either. And
Yep.
you don't know that based off their comment. I'm available, and they just put their website.
Yep.
Or they just put their Facebook.
Yep.
They could be from Washington State.
And just be willing to travel.
And just be willing to travel.
Which is so, I think that there is like, people want the job. And so it is not, you don't know who these people are coming from, what their experience is.
Yeah.
There's a whole range, just like there's a range of people posting, there's also such a range of people commenting.
Yeah. And
such a
and
range.
The one thing with us in the admin group that I am in, we really do try and keep it specific.
Yeah.
So we're vetting. We were a public group, we're a private now, so we can vet the people coming in.
Smart.
To know that if you're planning here, you're going to get somebody at least touching our state.
Yep.
Okay. And that actually had started from, let me kind of segue then to the next thing, is that there's a lot of scam. There's,
Yes.
we started our group because people who were claiming to be our regional photographers were stealing people's money, that they had never been to the area to begin with, that they were ghosting on their couples, that people needed like a safe space to, and we put it in, actually one of our rules in there, like, when you're out here asking, even though we really do try and make sure as an admin, and like I really do want people to know that admins are doing the best work. Like we're really trying not to be complete assholes in there, but we see the comments. We see the past stuff that happens. We see maybe some language or some like chitty chat behind the scene that maybe you aren't showing up for your stuff.
Yeah.
And we'll kick you out.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's some bad vibe, but like you got to really be prepared that there's people in there that we don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
some of these
it's
groups are
scary.
big. Like some of these groups have like thousands and thousands.
Mine has 5.
Yeah. Thousands and thousands of people. Okay. So now I'm like thinking, so if I was going and say I found, we're assuming that I found my food vendor in Facebook. Let's just assume.
Found him.
Found him.
Fred's food truck.
How do I guarantee that I'm not being scammed?
Social proof.
Social proof. Okay. So what does that mean?
Okay, so social proof is, well, it's hard when you're a new photographer. Like, okay, if you're new to catering, Fred's food truck just opened.
Yep.
Okay, and Fred's on Facebook.
Yep.
And you decide to go with Fred. I would hope that then you go look outside of it. Are they on Wedding Wire or the not? Is there a website?
Google.
Maybe Yelp, Thumbtack, Google, Instagram, TikTok. You're looking for those other areas. Then what you're going to do if you don't see them is have that conversation with Fred. And if Fred is telling you, I'm new, this is the new thing, what can I do? Like Fred should be, as a professional, like he's not a scammer.
Yep.
Okay. Fred is a real person with a real business. He should be coming to you saying, you reach out to people to past weddings. I worked with this planner. I've been to this venue before.
Yep.
Here's a couple that you can call. Then they're providing that social proof.
Okay.
And that's not social proof. That's proof.
Just
like
proof.
call
Then
this
you
planner.
are,
yes.
you're trying to confirm you are a legitimate
Yes.
operating business.
But then you really do have to have a planner who is pretty solid, or a venue that's pretty solid that can give that recommendation.
True.
I would be so nervous as a bride, and I go with Chelsea, who wants to do hair and makeup. Well, Chelsea's only on Facebook. Chelsea is sending a contract that is very tiny and small.
Or a contract at all.
Or a contract at all.
Yeah.
Period. That run.
Right.
Okay.
If there is not a contract, here we go. If there is not a contract, that is being sent to you along with a retainer or a deposit, do not go with that vendor. Do not pay anything until you have looked at a contract, signed a contract, along with the payment.
And we're going to do a whole
Yeah, that's a
contract
whole
look.
other episode, but like just as when you're vetting someone,
Yeah.
especially in general, but especially sourced from like a Facebook
And I
group.
always like a good place, you know, that has some sort of review.
Yes.
Whether that's
yes.
a Facebook review, a Yelp review, thumbtack.
Ooh, can I say one of my red
Yeah.
flags? One of my red flags is when there is a vendor and they have all of their all of their reviews turned off. I will
What
say,
do you mean, like all
like
reviews?
Google reviews turned off, Facebook reviews turned
There's
off.
no place.
There's no place to leave reviews. On the flip side, because we
Yes.
have also gotten spammy reviews, both of
Yeah,
us.
I don't have Facebook reviews.
Right. So like there are definitely, I will have like because I'm a vendor and I understand that sometimes people get spammy reviews that are not actually even people that they worked with ever.
Right.
So sometimes out of necessity, you have to turn off your reviews.
Yeah.
But if there's already some like red flags or like some things like they don't have a contract or they're being really wishy-washy with their communication and they have reviews turned
Yeah.
off, that's when I have a red flag.
I
that make
really,
sense?
I don't know. I also have a thing where like vendors will be down there like, oh, DM me, and they're taking it sort of off of like, not off the platform because they're in Facebook or whatever.
Yeah.
But
they're trying to move the conversation.
they're trying to
out
move
of
the
it.
conversation. And I get it. Maybe they want to move the conversation so they can talk privately and they don't want all their business out there.
Yeah.
But I think people that routinely are like, let's talk. I'm in your DMs right now. Let's talk. That rushedness. Is that a word? Rush.
can be.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
We're
rush
making new
of
words.
booking them.
Yeah.
Don't let people force you into booking them
Yeah.
immediately.
You have
Like,
autonomy.
you
don't- you're in no rush.
time, hun. You
You're in
really
no
do.
rush.
2 days, 3 days to book your vendor
Yeah.
is fine.
100%.
It's fine. So,
Especially if you have like 100 comments to sort through.
yeah,
you know?
and but that's to me that's very overwhelming. I mean, maybe some people want to parse through. I mean, certainly we all have our lists and that sort of stuff. But I feel like maybe that Facebook group should be used. If I were to use it as a bride,
Yeah.
I would be using it for understanding maybe more about my venue or what past people did. Like, for example, all my family is coming into this town and we're going to be here for 3 days. What are things that you did with your family members that made it memorable? Maybe another one is, hey, I'm having this problem at this cabin I'm getting married at. How did you deal with the parking situation? You know, things specific for that. If it's like that wide range cast, man, you're going to get burned out so quickly.
So much.
And us vendors, we're in there and we don't know you from nothing.
Yeah.
And so it's just like ding, 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 ding. Like, I just can't imagine having that much. There's so much, it's almost too much technology.
Yeah, it's overwhelming.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break to talk about our sponsor.
This episode is sponsored by Chop Chop Beauty Club.
My name is Samantha, and I'm the owner and creative director of Chop Chop Beauty Club. We are a luxury on-site hair and makeup team, and we make sure that not only is your wedding day service exactly what you're looking for, but we work really hard on the back end to make sure that the whole booking and scheduling process is seamless. I like to say that we are a set it and forget it type of company. You have so many things that you are dealing with when you're planning a wedding. You're booking photographers, you're booking catering, things like that. We don't want to be one more thing on your to-do list. So we have all of our communication perfectly timed out, so you never have to reach out to us. We will always reach out to you for whatever milestone is around the corner. Our genderless and all-inclusive service menu ensures that you will get exactly the service that is for you. Whether that is a more skincare forward makeup service, if you don't really like to wear a lot of makeup, or if you need to rent hair extensions, our Dream Hair Club is for you. So we have all the tips and tricks to make your wedding or special event perfect.
So thank you, Sam, for providing incredible services for brides and grooms everywhere. We absolutely adore you. So thank you.
Thank you for having me.
So I feel like if you're starting at Facebook in a Facebook group, definitely go out of the Facebook group, double and triple check that this business is valid, that they have I love the word social proof. Because really it's like proving that they're alive outside of Facebook.
Yeah.
Like,
Do you see their face?
do you see their face? Right. Are they trying to rush you to make a payment? I think that, okay, so we mentioned like Wedding Wire, Zola, any of those like
Yeah.
vendor source wedding places, if they have a website, a lot of vendors don't have. I was so surprised by this when I was searching. So many of my vendors that I was looking for did not have websites. They had Facebook pages. Like,
Do you feel like, well, yeah,
And I don't-
everybody can have a Facebook page.
and I don't know if this is a specific to where we are getting married, because it's like a little mountain town, which is very, very possible. It's more of a small town feel. Everyone knows everyone. Maybe there's not a need, or
You're not reaching out beyond.
Yeah.
Like it's
maybe that's
still-
why. I don't know.
I mean, I guess if you're Fred's food truck and you're not traveling outside 2 hours or an hour of your radius, like how much of a reach do you really need?
Right.
But at the same time,
Right.
can the people that are traveling in find you?
Right. So I think this is kind of a note of like maybe an awareness of, even if you don't think that people are looking for you, they may be. Like, there may be people who are getting married and eloping, or not eloping, but like having a destination thing at your venue.
Yeah.
Or using your vendors.
Well, okay, so let's just pop off then maybe on a vendor note too. Like if you are in that area and how do you, as Fred's food truck, connect to those venues? Like if you know, because sometimes food trucks may not be allowed at certain venues.
Yeah.
They don't allow it for space or whatever vibe or like aesthetic that they have going on. At
Plug
their-
in. Like maybe
Right,
there's not
like,
a
is
place
there
to plug
even-
in.
Right.
I don't know what all they
I
need.
would say Fred's food truck should go to those venues and be like, hey, I actually will come out here and cater. And then if you're having trouble, maybe rely back on your planner like you did, or your venue as you did, instead of running off to Facebook groups. But, I say use them
Use them sparingly.
sparingly, resourcefully.
Yeah. Be aware of.
Purposely.
Don't use. I would. Maybe this is a dramatic hot take. I wouldn't use it as the only way to source your vendors.
No.
Is that too extreme of a statement to make? I feel like I would not use Facebook groups as the only way to source, research, back up. Like, if you're going to use them, use a secondary source to validate, verify.
I almost feel like you need a good, stable planner or venue contact that can help then branch out. I feel like if you don't have some sort of centering and you're picking vendors from Facebook and you're picking them from here, it's so like spaghetti on the wall. It might be hard to corral that.
Yeah.
So to me, that feels very overwhelming. I would get very overwhelmed quickly.
Same.
So,
Same.
but I mean, they're everywhere. You can find them. If you want destination, they're there and they're helpful, especially if you're coming from another place.
Yeah.
Just
be aware that literally anyone, most of the time, anyone can be in there.
About getting,
I know. I'm nervous about getting scammed. I feel like that is because there's no threshold of like, there's no minimum qualifications or experience for vendors to be in those groups.
Yeah.
No, and you can maybe speak from an admin perspective, but I've never been asked as a vendor entering those groups, how long have you been in business? How many weddings have you, worked or whatever?
There's one that does require like a Google form and like a business license. They are very specific on when you can comment and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But you're right.
There's no qualifications.
There's really not a call. Like if you go get a business license, like there's no qualifications. And the thing is, I'm going to say within that threshold, even on an admin or vendor side, we know. Oh, okay. I got to watch my words.
I was like, oh.
We see the chitter chatter. Like as an admin, I can see okay. So here's an example. I don't.
Some tea.
Yes, this is some tea. I don't allow reviews of vendors in my group unless it's specifically for the professionals that are on the website that we monitor.
So you're saying you don't allow couples to review the vendors that they used?
No.
Okay.
Because
or make recommendations?
They can make recommendations, like people can make recommendations and that sort of stuff. But there's so much stuff I don't know, right? Like you could go on any platform and saying, I had a horrible experience with this person, blah, 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 and that's only one side. And the other side, and there's like some legal stuff that happens in there between. Yeah. But I still see what's happening, okay? I still see if this like vendor A came and like, okay, bride A is talking about this vendor. I see it. Okay.
Yeah.
Bride B comes in is talking about this vendor. Okay, now we got a problem. Now we really do probably need to
Have
be
an
removing
addressing-
this, and they're not mine. I don't know them. They're some rando, whatever.
Yeah.
I can see that chitter chatter. I have also had other people message me directly, specifically as a photographer to photographer, like, hey, this photographer is back. She's been banned on this one. And I have names.
Yeah.
I know a list of names of people
Yeah.
who will never grace my Facebook groups because they are literally scamming people.
Yeah. And I see a lot of like, there are groups that I think that then that's not a rule, because I do see a lot of like, I used so-and-so. I kind of love it when they like post screenshots of like the conversation and I can like see the tea.
Oh,
But, like,
the way the communication.
but it's been 6 months and I haven't received my photos, or my wedding videographer has ghosted me and I can't get a
hurts
hold of
me.
them. And like literally sometimes they'll have receipts of like, no, I want to warn brides and grooms. Like,
I
do
get that
not-
too.
I get that
I get
big
it.
time, because I think that again, and this is probably what's really intimidating and scary as the one planning a wedding, is there are literally hundreds of options. How do I know
Yes.
which one is going to scam me? Like, that's terrifying.
Yes. And I feel
know?
I see it and I want it too. I think my issue is like, it's not even an issue. There are two sides. It will come out. There was once at some point that you can see that people fighting, like one vendor, and they're talking to each other,
Dang.
and they're literally throwing their laundry out on the front street, and it's like, this is just
That's so
not it's
icky.
not a look I want in my own group.
You don't want it to be a
right?
drama fester.
No, I don't. I don't want to be. I don't want to be subpoenaed for anything
Right,
about people's
right.
businesses getting shut down over something
It's true.
that was said.
It's
I just-
defamation.
I
It's
can't
straight
do
up
that.
defamation if it's not. Yeah. Yeah. So we.
I want to get to a positive point because I feel like we've gone down. Like, don't
No,
die.
don't do it. No, I think that there is so much good about Facebook groups for weddings. I really do. I think there's so many good things. I think that we just want to bring light to like what you need to watch out for. And if you don't want to get scammed, how you can really verify and make sure that you are picking and booking a reliable vendor who is a business and not just someone, not Joe Schmo commenting because they want money.
Right.
Like, because anyone can look like they have a business. So,
And I would always, and maybe end this on like a positive note, or maybe me as a vendor. Okay. If you are out there looking and maybe I'm not your photographer and you really just want some advice on a place or a person that you're going with, maybe not another photographer, like maybe I'm just going to get catty on that part.
like, I know, right?
Okay, my photographer doesn't know anything and can you help them? You hired them,
Yeah.
but I know I sound like such a bitch when I say that. But like, hey, I'm really going out to this mountain place. Do you recommend anybody? I'm really happy.
Yeah.
I would be more than happy to help.
Absolutely.
I really would.
Same. And I think that like we've worked with a lot of different types of vendors, and there are definitely like like posts that posts that I will comment as a photographer and be like, I love this catering company. I love this venue.
Yeah.
Like, I love these people. It sounds like exactly like the personality and what you need. I'm always trying to like connect people as well. So you may not just have like vendors volunteering themselves to work with you. There may actually be other vendors who are recommending different types of vendors for you.
And maybe one last point for this is that not all of us are on all these groups too. Really do, like you said, you were looking at Google and Facebook and that sort of stuff. So reiterate that you can find us. There are certain platforms we really like, certain platforms we don't like.
Yep.
And then just advertising budgets for some things as well. Like you won't find me a whole lot in Facebook groups.
Yeah.
Like my brain can't handle that many sort of, Facebook and
and
Instagram and
pots.
TikTok.
can't.
Like I like it all filtered into like my emails where my happy place is my email.
Yes. Because I'll miss messages if I'm spread out too thin.
If you don't see like a particular vendor commenting in the group and you're like, oh, I was really hoping that they were in there, then reach out to them.
Yeah, and it also doesn't mean that that's a red flag if they're not in that group, or if they're not on Wedding Wire, or if they're not. Sometimes they're not on every platform.
Yeah, we
like,
just don't
and
have
that's
we don't
too.
have this, talking about social proof. We also don't have the social energy
Yeah,
to be on everything all the time.
Yeah. So don't take the lack of involvement in every platform as a red flag.
Yes.
But I'd say if they're only commenting on Facebook groups and they literally have no other business presence other than that, that's a red flag.
That's a red flag.
That's my hot take. The end.
Good job.
Okay. Hope this is helpful.
All right, Facebook groups, good luck.
Have fun.
Bye.